like I gotta jump on this.
That's right.
And so
Yeah.
they have the easy start where you can really start with $50 because they have a couple of different tiers to where you can start with $50
Yeah.
and you can do monthly, deposits. But the one that I did, I just put a lump sum in there. And see,
Okay.
the only thing with their certificates is
Hey, what's going on, guys? Calvin Russell here. Super excited to bring you all yet another guest speaker. All right. Now, this young lady needs no introduction as her YouTube channel is going crazy from the topics that we're going to be talking about this evening. Okay. But either way, I do not want to hold her up. She, of course, has taken the time away from her business and, of course, her own channel to make sure that she drops the gems for the audience in here tonight. So make sure you guys go ahead and get your notepads out and get ready for none other than Tasha from Major Change Group. Tasha, are you with us today?
hey Calvin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, the audience don't know the back end, but we've been trying to get this going for months. But
Right.
that's
It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. We here tonight, so that's all that matters.
there you go. Absolutely, that's all that matters. So here, before we go into your background, your story, how you went in, how you even found yourself into like credit cards, credit education, things of that sort.
Yeah.
Let's talk. I want to get straight into it. Okay. So the first things first, you've mentioned that there have been maybe not necessarily some changes, but there are some steps to actually getting an American Express credit limit. Essentially a credit limit if you have an American Express card. Can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so what I'll say is, so I didn't have the American Express Gold Card, and because especially with it having a 250 annual fee going to the 325, I'm just like, I don't know about the American Express card. But with that one, it doesn't have a credit limit.
Mhm.
You basically, like when you first get the card, you'll be approved for a certain amount.
Yeah.
So a credit line.
Okay.
But the thing is, when you first apply, most of the time people say, well, don't go in to see how much you can get every time. Just
Yeah.
roll with it, because they'll say, well, you're approved up to 5,000 or 10,000. But what I did the first time, I was like, I did
Yeah.
it 3 times. So I was like, well, am I approved for
Mm.
15? And I wasn't approved for 15,000 because most of my credit cards limits was at least like 15 or 20,000. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, let me try for 15,000. He was like, no. And then I tried for 10,000 and I was approved for 10,000. So I was just like, okay. But since most people don't want to,
Yeah.
go in and try to see what their credit limit is, because you could, let's say they want you to send your financial information in. I didn't have a problem with sending my financial information in. So what I would do is I would go in and I would kind of look around and see how I could figure it out. So
Okay.
once you look at your statement, to the side, it says that this is kind of like a credit limit. And so I was
Okay.
just like, okay, maybe I can, look at it this way without me having to actually go in to, run it to see what my actual credit limit is. But I
Okay.
think most of the time, once you continue using the card over like 3 to 6 months, really,
Yeah.
you don't even care, because it's
Mm.
like you're getting your natural spending. American Express is figuring you out. And
Yeah.
so it's okay. But then, even on my channel, just recently, last week, somebody had messaged us like, well, if I knew I was going to have a credit limit, maybe I wouldn't have applied for it.
Got
Yeah.
you. If you're looking to increase your credit score, qualify for homeownership, or lower your monthly car payment, we can help you. We can take a look at your credit report and create a custom game plan for you to help you accomplish your credit goals. Scan this QR code or click the link in the description below. Now back to the video.
Yeah.
Right, because that's the whole point. When you get the credit card over time, you at least expect to get some type of credit limit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's been
Mhm.
a lot of changes with American Express as of recently. How do you feel about just all the changes that have been recent with American Express in general? What's your personal take on that?
Well, my personal take, I'm thinking you're really talking about, for me, the American Express Gold Card with the
Yeah.
credit limit increase. For me, I'm one to want low to no, well, not the credit
Mhm.
limit increase, but the annual fee. So
And
I'm
yeah,
more to low to no annual
yeah,
fee. I'm more so like $100 or less. So for me
yeah,
to do the $250, I'm just like, that was kind of a stretch for me. And I don't know
yeah,
why, because I'm just
yeah.
like, me having to put in 250 just to get the
Just to use the
credits and
card.
things like
Yeah.
that. And my thing is, do the credits, is it in my natural spending? And if it's not in my
Okay.
natural spending, that might not be good for me.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, I wanted to get the American Express Gold Card because it had that 90,000 membership reward points.
Yeah.
I
All of
really
yeah.
like to get credit cards with the high, bonuses. So I was just like, I'll go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm more so, it's like, how can you like a card, but be a hater on the same hand?
Right.
And so I'm just like, I like the card, but it's like now that they went to 325, I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't know about that. But
Yeah.
I know that credit card companies like to make changes. And
Yeah.
so I'll just have to see within next year when my annual fee comes due, is it going to still be within my natural spending to keep
Yeah.
it? So that's what I like to look at when I'm looking at credit cards.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
we'll have to see.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you touched on that as well, too, because you just mentioned a lot of keywords. One was natural spending. And of course, it's it makes more sense when you do it like that because a lot of times I think people try to find things to buy or find trips to take
Okay.
just to kind of get the points and things of that sort. But like you said, that natural spending, looking for things
Yeah.
where you don't have to force yourself to
Yeah.
buy something new or spend the card differently. I think I
Yeah.
really
No
like that for sure.
manufacturer spending over here. It's all
Right.
within my natural spending. Yeah.
I know that's right. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, there's been some changes as well too. Of course, with Navy Federal. But now, at the same time, which is your favorite Navy Federal credit card? Choosing between either the cash rewards or the flagship.
Wow, you know what, Calvin? That is hard because it's like on the one hand, I really love the Navy Federal flagship because that was my
Okay.
first Navy Federal credit card.
Okay.
And you get so many perks with it, but it's like now I know some of the members are getting a 2% cash back with
Yeah.
the Navy Federal Cash Rewards card. So I'm just like, 2% cash back. That's pretty good. So I'm just like, really,
Yeah.
they're kind of neck and neck. And so I had really started using my cash rewards card more.
Okay.
And so, but really my favorites are the Navy Federal More Rewards with the flagship because with the More Rewards, you get 3 times the points for dining, groceries, and gas.
Yeah.
And then you would get 2 times the points with the flagship. So they just went together. But
Yeah.
now
Okay.
that you get the 2% cash back for the cash rewards card. To
Okay.
me, I'm really liking it, especially with it out having an annual fee, and
Yeah.
then you can get cash back at any point compared to with the Navy Federal flagship. I want to say it's $50
Yeah.
or
Okay.
yeah, 5,000 points if I'm not making a mistake.
Real quick, be sure to download our free ebook today. All you got to do is scan this QR code right here or click the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Yeah. Okay. Got you. Okay. All right. Because I know sometimes people are trying to choose, some people may not have both and they're trying to decide between the two. And so, of
Mhm.
course, we always like to get, an idea of what, the credit card experts are talking about for sure. As you guys can see, Tasha most definitely knows what she's talking about. And she talks about a lot of different credit cards on her YouTube channel. One of the reasons why her channel is growing so fast is mainly because she's speaking from a level of experience. So you guys make sure you guys go ahead and check out her YouTube channel as well. Now, you talked about another topic as well too that I want to touch on,
Mhm.
and that was, is 0% utilization bad for your credit score? What are your
Right.
thoughts on that?
So 0% utilization, I would definitely rather be 0% utilization than, have a maxed out credit card. But
Yeah.
I think it's more so of, let's say, between 7% and less. And
Okay.
so, and I really like to go on to Experian, and on the Experian site, it's going to say if you want to be like a high achiever, you really want 7% or less. But the
Yeah.
key is that for me, I like to report but not pay interest.
Mm,
So you want to
got you.
report a certain amount, but
Yeah.
not pay interest on your credit card. So really figure out, do you want to leave 10%
Yeah.
or 7%? But I think that that's usually the good spot,
Yeah.
having probably 7% or less.
Got you. Okay.
Mhm.
Got you. And you know what? I know a lot of people have always talked about keeping it under 30%,
Mhm.
and things of that sort. But again, that sweet spot it seems to be about that 7 to 10%,
Yeah, 7 is.
utilization, for sure. And it's
Mhm.
always good to just hear from a credit card expert just like yourself, just because obviously you've had different credit cards. How many do you have? There's no right or wrong number, but how many do you have now? Because I know you kind of have quite a few.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you this, Calvin. On the one hand, I just had Key on my channel and she had 80 credit cards. Now she got 50 credit cards. I was like, girl, like, wow.
Listen,
I don't
she's
have
trying to break
nowhere
a
near
record.
that. I'm just like, girl, you making me feel bad. But I only have 14 credit cards. But I'm just like, with my
Only
14
14.
yes, I only have 14 credit cards, but I am actually considering, canceling a few of my credit cards because
Got
I
you.
really think with me having 14 credit cards, can I maximize, let's say, after I get the bonus to be
Yeah.
able to get the points? Can I maximize getting my points if I'm trying to, use this card this month, that card, next month? Because usually I'm going to rotate my credit cards.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a little bit harder having so many credit cards. And
Yeah.
so I'm really kind of considering maybe, closing a credit card.
Yeah.
Be-
Okay.
Can
Got
I
you.
can I tell you this story?
Yeah,
So
yeah, please do. Let's do it.
okay, so let me tell you. So what really got me to thinking about this was so I have the American Express Surpass, the Hilton Honor Surpass,
Okay.
and so I had got that card in January because I had really got two credit cards in one day, or
Okay.
really back to back. So I got the Hilton Honor Surpass and then the City Platinum credit card. So
Yeah.
after I got my minimum spend, it was 4,000. I really had spent a little bit more than that, so it was
Yeah.
good. And so after that, I really like to apply for credit cards so that I can get the bonuses so I can take trips and things like that.
Okay.
And so then I'll just move on to another credit card.
Okay.
And so then I was really using my American Express Gold card. And so, I didn't get my points for that card. So I was just like, I was, kind of upset with that. So I was really going to
Mm.
close that credit card. I was really going to close the
Yeah.
Hilton Honor Surpass. But I said, you know what? I'm going to keep it because it does have some good perks with the six
Yeah.
times the points for dining, gas, and groceries. So
Okay.
now we're getting to the end of the year, and my goal for 2025 is to be able to do, state to state travel with only using my points, cash
Yeah.
back, or other kind of perks. So
Yeah.
then I was looking through my 14 credit cards and I was just like, okay, how can I maximize earning the points so that I can do that? So then I went back to my American Express Surpass and I'm like, you know what? This would really actually be a good card.
Yeah.
And so then I did see that you for 1 year, if you
Yeah.
can do 15,000 spend, then you can get a one night, stay. So you get a certificate for any,
Okay.
hotel. So I was like, dang. So then I looked at it and I was like, man, I'm at really like 4,000. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to do a reverse.
Yeah. Point.
I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to do a reverse. You know how you do your minimum spend, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to do a reverse minimum spend on the back end. And
Okay.
so that's when I started thinking because I'm just like, I would have been made that 15,000 if I had been using it because it was pretty much maybe like 4 months or so that I
Okay.
wasn't using it on the regular. And
Yeah.
so that's what got me to thinking, man, since I'm trying to use all these different credit cards, I'm maybe not maximizing some of the credit cards as I
Mm.
should or could.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
you know what? I know a lot of people are probably asking themselves a very similar question because they may have a credit card that they've had for, quite some time, but they're just not using it like they thought that they would use that particular
Mhm.
credit card. What are some things you look for to say, okay, because I know why you may cancel that particular card. What are some things that you're now looking at before you cancel a credit card?
Okay. So, well, one of the things I'm looking for is what the annual fee looking like. So it's like if the
Yeah.
annual fee, so I'll close a card if it's coming around and I feel like I'm not using it. So that's number one for me. I'm just gonna be honest with you on that. And
Okay.
then two, I would say number one probably is annual fee because I'm not really one to kind of cancel a card that doesn't have an annual fee. Like
Okay.
if it's a card that doesn't have an annual fee because if I can downgrade that card that has an annual fee, I'll do that. But if I
Yeah.
can't downgrade it, then I will probably cancel it. But one thing that I'm really going to be looking for if I'm going to cancel a card, what is my length of credit? Because I
Yeah.
don't want to be
Absolutely.
messing up my length of credit. So, if
Mhm.
I've had that card, I would say probably really over 10 years,
Okay.
but probably 10 to 15. It really
Yeah.
depends. But when you go on to Experian, the site is going to say 10 years or more of a length of credit is
Yeah.
going to be the best. So I would say
Mhm.
10 years or more. But I
Okay.
would really look at my credit profile to see, what it's looking like. And that's
Yeah.
probably those are gonna be the two
The
things
key
I'm gonna be
factors.
looking at.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Listen, and those are very key factors as well too, because that time that you've built obviously plays a role. A lot of people forget about that. the average age, of that account, for
Yep.
sure. And then obviously when you're talking about certain types of credit cards, because a lot of people may have some entry level credit cards and things of that sort, but once you start getting those higher end credit cards, that's where annual fees are most definitely going to play, a major
Yep.
role, for sure. All
Mhm.
right, so now you also
And one other
go
thing,
ahead.
can
Sure.
I move that credit limit onto another credit card? So,
Yeah.
especially if it's American Express, or so
Yeah.
really for me, when I had closed one of my cards, it was with Chase.
Okay.
And I moved that credit limit onto another credit card and then I closed it.
Mm.
So if I can do
Wow.
that, because sometimes you
Yeah.
don't want to make your utilization go down.
Yeah.
So I would take a look at that as well.
Absolutely. I think that's very key. And you know what? A lot of credit card companies don't allow you to do that. But if you do decide to move that over and then cancel it, that's very smart. And not only that, but that makes you have potentially it could also work for an older card as well too. And now you have just that limit, allocated over. I think, man, that's such a great, idea.
Yeah.
I know Sledge talked about that a while back,
Hmm.
as well, but you rarely hear people talk about that. Such a
Yeah.
great way, a smart way to use your credit cards
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. I
Now,
did that.
yeah, okay. Now you also mentioned too, something about with Navy Federal, they have something called an Easy Start certificate, and
Yes.
you did a video on that, and you
Hmm.
said, was it worth it? So, is it worth it
Yes.
in your opinion, and what's that all about?
Yes, I would definitely say, because especially, during these times, I think that saving is very important. One, you
Right.
want to save for an emergency. You
Yeah,
can get a flat tire or things like stuff going on in the house and you
yeah,
need, saving. So you want to kind of start there. But then additionally, you just want to, make sure you have that next egg. And then also, are you going to be planning a trip or things
yeah.
like that? And so I want to say 2 years ago, they had, I want to say it was almost 5%, and so that was the highest interest rate that they had probably within 10 years. And so I was like, I got to jump
Mm,
on this.
that's right.
And so
Yeah.
they have the easy start where you can really start with $50, because they
Mm,
have a couple of different tiers to where you can start with $50,
yeah.
and you can do monthly, deposits. But the one that I did, I just put a lump sum in there. But see,
Okay.
the only thing with their certificates is, do you have kind of maybe like another savings on the side? Because
Yeah.
with the certificate, you got to have it sitting there for 12,
Hmm.
15, 18 months. And I want to
Yeah.
say they go up to 24 months. And so you don't want to take that money out, because then you can get a penalty depending on when you take
Mm,
the money out. And then
right.
for me, I don't take the interest that I earn out. So I just let the interest, keep going until it the end of it. And
Okay.
so I've done it 2 years straight. But what I also added this year, a high yield savings. And so I think with the high yield savings accounts, that's a little bit more flexible. So if you need to get money out, you can do it without a penalty. So I think you really just have to figure out which savings vehicle is good for you, to where either
Okay.
one, I can put the money there and I
Yeah.
can not worry about it, or
Yeah.
two, maybe I can put the money there, but then if I need it, I can still get to it really quickly.
Absolutely. Right. Without your money being having to be locked up. Okay.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very smart. And I love the fact that Navy Federal has a lot of those types of perks and account options as well too, because a lot of banks don't have something like that, especially where it's that flexibility with the money as well. All
Yeah.
right. Now you've also lately have been doing quite a few videos on the auto loan process
Mhm.
with Navy Federal. So
Yeah.
now, of course, what's that process if someone is looking to get an auto loan with Navy Federal?
Well, I would just say, one, if you are getting an auto loan, I would say go with a credit union just in general. And if you
Yeah,
can get the auto loan with Navy Federal, I think that that would be a big thing. But I would say first, when you're joining Navy Federal, one, you
yeah.
just want to make sure you have that good relationship, because I
Mhm.
think when you build that relationship, because I feel like for myself, when I had first joined Navy Federal, I
Yeah,
wasn't depositing money in there, and I had a checking and a savings, but I wasn't
yeah,
depositing money. And then I really wanted to get the Navy Federal flagship, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
yeah,
And but then I didn't get approved, for a lot. I only barely got approved for $7,000.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
so then, I just created that relationship maybe over a year, and then I got the auto loan. And
Yeah,
so at the time, I thought that my credit was probably like over a 700, but
Mhm.
it actually wasn't. It was a little, I want to say it was 681. And so I was just
Yeah.
like, wow. But
Mm.
for me to be able to get the auto loan with them, but then I was able to get a low interest rate. So
Okay.
that's why I really like the auto loan. And I
Yeah.
would say it's very easy for one, because
Mhm.
really you just have to let them know, like how much money are you bringing in yearly?
Yeah.
Do you rent or own? The really the basics.
Yeah.
But I would say overall, what I like about the Navy Federal Auto Loan is when you get that check and you take it to
The
the
dealership.
dealership, like the power is in your hands.
It is.
So why I talk about it so much, because you would just be amazed, kind of sort of with the questions
Yeah.
that you get in regards to it. Because I feel like when I got that check,
Yeah.
it was all in my hands. It
That's
wasn't
right.
they wasn't running my credit.
That's right.
And I had the negotiating, power with
Mm.
it. And
Yeah.
so that's what I when I'm talking about it, that's what I say, because
Yeah.
that's the number one question. And then the second question is, what do you do? What do they do with the money? Let's say if you get a $20,000 check, but
Yeah.
then your car is only 17. So
Yeah.
really that other money, it just goes away.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so that's like one of the questions that I get all the time with that. But I would
Yeah.
say mostly when you get that check, you have that power to be able to do what you need to do. But then afterwards, paying off the auto loan with Navy
Mhm.
Federal, I really like it because it can set you up in two different ways. So one, it can set you up just to kind of get ahead, and you're
Yeah.
not paying as much interest on your auto loan, because what'll happen is, let's say you're paying an additional 100 or $200 or even 1,000, it'll push your auto loan out a couple of months. And
Yeah.
then if you keep paying on it, then it's pushing your date out further and further. And so let's say, Christmas time coming up, and maybe
Yeah.
you want to you buy presents or things like that. So then you would be in a good spot, and then you can pick it back up, or you can just continue to pay on the auto loan, and then you can get it paid off a lot sooner. So that's what I did.
Got you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? You touched on quite a few things. One, when you have that check directly from the credit union, and I love how you just mentioned too, guys, it's and everyone watching this is why we brought Tasha here. She knows this stuff, okay? But especially when you mention if people are looking to get an auto loan, how they should really consider going with the credit union because they'll give you that check in advance. And like you said, you don't have to worry about your credit, being shotgunned through all of these, credit bureaus and such. You don't have to worry about a lot of the back and forth. It's really like, okay, I know the finance and let me just pick out the car, in
Mm-hmm.
a sense. And
Yep.
so I think that that is such a great way to do it because it's a lot of relief. And I worked in the car industry for 6 years,
Mhm.
and but a lot of people didn't have a salesperson like myself where they held their hand and kind of walked them
Okay.
through the process. And
Mhm.
we get it. Some people just be shisty, or it's just they don't know what questions to ask. They don't want to go back. They don't want to negotiate. They don't have to do all that, And so that just makes the process a lot easier, especially with Navy Federal. So now,
Yeah.
real quick, Tasha, before we wrap up, how did
Mhm.
you find yourself, into like the credit card space and the credit card world?
Yes, that is so interesting, Calvin. So I would say, man, several years ago, I've always been on the budgeting. So,
Okay.
the financial spectrum is, it varies.
Yeah.
And so I'm more so on the front end of it. One, making sure that your financial, foundation is strong with
Mhm.
budgeting. And
Yep.
so I always thought, how you would go to the library on the weekends and you would be talking about budgeting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I always thought that I would do that, because even though, I make YouTube videos and
Yeah.
things, I'm more so of a behind the scenes kind of person. And so
Yeah.
once I started doing videos, a lot of my friends and my family is just like, Tasha, I cannot believe that you are making videos. And my mom just told me the other day, that same thing. And I'm just like, me too. I cannot believe it. But what happened was I had joined Toastmasters just to, get that
Wow.
confidence and things like that.
Yeah.
And so it really gave me the confidence to, be able to do it. And so at my church, I was doing mentoring and
Yeah.
stuff. And so we would talk about budgeting and things. And
Yeah.
so my first video was on preparation, and I
Mm.
had to make it for the church, and it was 1 minute. And it took maybe like 60
Forever.
times for me to do like that 1 minute. It was hilarious. And
Yeah.
then, I posted it on my YouTube channel because I'm
Yeah.
just like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
originally I just started with talking about your credit score and budgeting because I think, if your money is straight and then your credit is good,
Yeah.
you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can get those
Whatever you
high
wanna do.
credit limits, you can get those auto loans that you want. And so that's where you want to be. And
Yeah.
so I started that, and then I started talking about credit cards.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then I joined Navy Federal, and
Yeah.
then I started talking about Navy Federal, and it just kind of went from there.
Yeah. So you know what? I love that story because you started out with just a genuine heart just to help people learn from obviously budgeting and helping people at the church and just kind of just
Mhm.
again just already having that spirit about you already, and then obviously just transitioning that to YouTube, and then now people are learning from you on a national and even an international
Yeah, because
scale.
I'm just like,
Yeah,
wow, like that's
crazy.
amazing. I'm just thinking I'm gonna be at the library talking to 5 or 6 people,
Yeah.
helping my family and things
Yep.
like that. Like that's all I can imagine. And then it's like
Yeah.
now, on YouTube, even though, I'm just talking to the computer, but it's just
Yeah.
like just to think how many people are watching your videos and things
Yeah.
like that. Like that's really amazing. So
Yeah.
I would
The
say for
impact.
anybody, if
Yeah.
you have something that you want to say,
Yeah.
don't be afraid.
That's right. Absolutely. And it's the impact. I mean, like, I think that's very key. I mean, you're literally helping people make a major change, for sure, as well. So, well, Tasha, listen, we greatly appreciate you being here, stopping by, dropping, just so many nuggets along the way, with everything that's going on in the credit card and credit union world, as well. Is there anything that you want to leave with the audience before we get out of here this evening?
Well, first, I just want to say, Calvin, thank you so much for having me on your channel. And then for your people that are watching, just continue with your budget, getting your foundation straight,
That's
and
right.
then especially with your credit, because I think credit is key
Yeah.
to understand your credit utilization. Keep that utilization low.
Mhm.
That way you can get those high credit limits and any credit card that you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Tasha. We greatly appreciate you stopping by as well, too. Listen, if
Thank
you all want Tasha to come back, let us know inside the comment section below, and we'll most definitely bring her back in the future, for sure. But thanks again, Tasha. And by the way, too, everyone that's watching this, make sure you guys go ahead and check out her YouTube channel. We just put her information down here at the bottom of your screen, so you
you.
guys can search YouTube for Major Change Group, to learn more. But thanks again, Tasha. We greatly appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.